Well, good morning, girlfriend. Hey, we got Colleen. Thank you for being here. Last week, I don't know if you guys were on or not, but Colleen had a little bit of technical difficulties,
Oh,
so we had to cancel the show. But we're going to do the same show today, which is about
yes.
hospice care and palliative. Palliative care is, am I saying that right?
Palliative. Yeah, that's fine.
Palliative.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah.
Tomato, tomato.
Okay. So the reason that we're doing this is because so many people feel that the only option they have is to bring their animal to the vet to be euthanized if they're in pain. But there are so many
Mm.
other things that you can do. And that's what Colleen, who is the expert in this field. And by the way, did you guys know that she's the first person that I've ever met, and maybe you've never met anyone either, that owned a pet funeral home? Which is a wonderful thing. Think about it, a pet funeral home with all just like a regular funeral home.
Yeah.
So that's a wonderful thing. So, okay, Colleen, what are we going to talk about today? What do you want to share with everybody?
Kathy, every week when you and I are together, we have a tough conversation. But today, I want us to lean in. I want us to have a really tough conversation. I want for our listeners that are out there, which by the way, while I missed you last week, I really missed them a lot. So what I want us to do is I want us to stand tall. I want us to reframe a sentence. Okay. I want us to reframe a sentence. And the sentence is, if my dog dies. And I want us to reframe it to when my dog dies. And now what I want us to do is I want us to spend the next hour that we get to be together, the next 50 minutes, whatever it's going to be. And I want us to talk about this thing that is inevitable in our world. And let's talk about what you can do to make sure that the end is perfect. And every time I work with a family, one of the things I tell them is, you know what, this is your journey and it's going to be what's right for you. It's not what's right for me. My role as a companion in the journey, my role is to give you things to think about, because what I want to have happen is I want you to have the perfect ending. So can I start off with a story, Kathy?
Sure,
Can I start off with a
absolutely.
story? Oh, so I'm at a veterinary conference this past January. And I'm walking around the exhibit hall, which I'm sure everybody who is listening here today can relate to. So I'm walking around the exhibit hall, and here comes this young lady towards me, and she's waving her hands, and oh my God, Coleen, I've been looking everywhere for you. And Kathy, try as I may, man, I just couldn't place when I had a conversation with her. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because I'll tell you.
I have those all the time.
Oh
I'm
my,
in my 70s, so those are senior moments, but
right,
okay.
right.
Yeah.
Well, so I kept thinking if she talks long enough, I'll figure it out. And I never figured it out, but it doesn't matter. So here's what happened. So by the time she gets to me, and now she's hugging me and now she's crying. So I was like, okay, well, clearly I met her at some point in an end of life journey. And
Mhm.
she said, I just have to share a story with you. She said, the last time I saw you, she said, my dog, I knew my dog was making her way to her end. And she said, I remember you telling me a few things, and I wanted to tell you I did the things you told me. And in my head, I'm thinking,
What
crap,
did I
what
tell
did I
her?
tell her? Oh, right?
Yeah.
So I just let her keep talking. I didn't need to say anything. It wasn't about my conversation. So here's what she said to me. And now she's got her phone up and she's showing me pictures, right? And she said, what you said to me was, as you face this end of life walk, this final journey, this final stage, as you face that, what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think about all the things that would make the final days perfect and would make her final end perfect and would be a beautiful and memorable transition in the way that's right for you and for her. So listen what she told me. So she said,
Ups already.
I know, I love sharing this story. So she said, and it happened the April prior. This was January. So it was, 7 months ago. And she's still crying like it was yesterday, of course. And she said, so the weekend prior, they euthanized the doggy on Wednesday. and a Wednesday. And she said, so the weekend prior, I went to one of those paint with a twist, where you drink and you paint, which what a genius business, by the way, genius. So anyway, she said, I went to this and she said, my whole goal was to paint a portrait of her doggie, which she did. So she took the portrait home. It was on a Saturday. She took the portrait home. She hung it up in her house. And the next 3 days, she did bucket list stuff. They did bucket list stuff. All right. Now it's Wednesday. It's the day. So she goes out into her driveway with chalk, with chalk, sidewalk chalk, and she does a rainbow in her driveway. And then she invites her friends and family to come over and say their goodbyes and to be with her, to support her, which, by the way, those are our words. Please come support me. I don't want you to come here to be here for the euthanasia of my doggie. I need you to support me. I want some support today.
That's
okay.
a good point. That's a very,
Right?
very good point. Yeah.
Just like funerals are for the living. Funerals are for the living. Okay. Funerals are to support me. So anyway, her friends and family come over. She has them walk across the rainbow to come into the house. All important to her. Okay. So now the veterinarian's at her house and they take the doggie out into the rainbow and they euthanize her in the rainbow. And then they walk across Rainbow Bridge and take her in the house. And she said, I had a table set up where the picture that she had painted the weekend prior was above the table. And she said, I kept her there and she lied in state for, I don't know, a day or two. I don't remember the final details on that, but she laid in state for a day or two at my house. And she looks at me, Kathy. She looks at me in these tear-filled eyes, yet with a little tiny peaceful smile. And she said, Coleen, the end was perfect. Her end was perfect. And I thought, glory be, hallelujah. What if every pet parent could say that? What if they could say that? The end was perfect.
So planning. Yeah.
Total
that someday
planning.
that's going to happen. Of course. Yeah.
So we reframed to not if, but when. So even as you start to think about what will make the end perfect, and is it, I always talk about the coulda, shoulda, wouldas. Is it things that she could have never done? Like maybe I had a girlfriend of mine that her doggie never got to eat people food. So guess what? On the day of, she got Subway sandwiches all day long.
Yeah, right.
Subway, all day long.
Yeah.
Pizza. I've heard people telling about pizza. When people talk to me, I'm like, if he likes chicken McNuggets, I want you to drive through McDonald's a gazillion times today.
Yeah.
Nuggets. So you got the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, all the things we could have done, all the things that we would have done, but we couldn't. Even right now, if it's a situation that maybe it's a big old guy and he's not mobile anymore, you can find a wagon or a garden cart or whatever it is and take him on a final walk. Do what makes him happy. So again, I always call it, Kathy, the 6-month goal. I want you to think back on this day 6 months from now, and I want you to close your eyes and I want you to say, what would make the end perfect?
Yeah.
What can I do right now or in the next few days or the next few weeks or the next few months, whatever it is? What am I going to do so I can look back and say a couple of things? Number 1, the end was perfect. Number 2, no regrets.
Yeah.
No regrets. Okay.
Well, I have a question for you. My Charlie, my dog Charlie, he's going to be 14 in December, and he had little tumors all over him. And I'm bringing him to Las Cruces when we go, but I'm finding that now, particularly because we're going to have another move, my awareness of his behavior has been heightened tenfold.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm aware that, hey, you can't get up on that stool the way you used to, or on that bench the way you used to before. You're going to need a pillow now.
Right.
Because you've got to be able to jump up and get on there. Okay, you used to be able to sit on the swing and get up there with mommy. Mommy has to pick you up now. So there's awareness that happens when the dog gets older. I wish people would have that same awareness when they're younger. I wish I would have paid more attention to him, you know, at that time. So, lesson to everybody, if you pay attention to what your dog's needs are when they're younger, when you get older, you automatically know what to do.
Oh, for
So
sure.
building that bucket list of what would make it ideal and happy is easy to come by then.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
easy to come by.
that's exactly right. And I tell you, the people that I get a companion and walk with who are fully in tune and know that, oh man, it is powerful.
Yeah,
The families who, have made their final trip to the vet and all morning have been driving around in the car because that's what he loved to do. And then their request of their veterinarian is euthanasia in the car,
right.
because that's where he loved to be. And so being in tune and being mindful of those things, and I also tell them, be mindful not only of the things that they love to do, but the things they don't like to do. And if they
Yeah,
don't like something, at the end, forget it. Who
yeah,
cares?
right,
Stop,
right.
you know? Stop. And if we're at the end, I've got one of my home veterinarians that I do a lot of work with, and she's just beautiful and delightful, and she'll do whatever she needs to do with meds and stuff like that. But sometimes she says, listen, do you want the end to really be your memory of forcing a med down his throat and how much he hated that? Then stop. Then
Yeah,
stop. If that's becoming such a battle every time, let's talk about stopping, and let's talk about what we need to do next, because it reaches a point that it's going to be an awful memory. And you're going to look back and say, my final memories are of every 2 hours trying to shove a pill down his throat. And it was just, it wasn't worth it. And that's okay. In hospice and palliative care work, Kathy, we have a statement. And the statement is this: there comes a time when you go from cure to care. When you go from cure to care. And so it's okay to say, today, today I'm going to stop. And today we're going to get ready and we're going to do whatever we need to do as we're on our final walk and we're in our final stages here. And we're just going to get ready for that day, whatever that might be. And it may be, I don't know if you've ever read, Kathy, I'm going to share this with you and you can put it out. It's a beautiful story called A Living Love. And it talks about just a story, not a poem. It's a beautiful story. And it says there are 3 days that we remember really distinctly in our pet's life. Day one is the day they come home. And they're trying to find their way. You're trying to find your way. Everybody's trying to figure out how we're going to coexist. And it's that day where everybody becomes a family unit. The second day is the day that you mentioned. It's the day that you look down and you say, you can't jump on that swing anymore. You can't jump on that stool anymore. I notice it takes a little longer for you to get up. And so you say, okay, now we got to tweak some meds and now we got to do some things to make them comfortable, right? And then we have the third day. And as the story goes, the third day is whether we make the decision or God makes the decision for us, but there is a third day. And so it talks about that third day. But it's a beautiful story that really, in very short, beautiful, eloquent fashion, just really sums up the journey and sums up kind of the process we go through. And of course, the story ends with there's always a fourth day, and the fourth day is when you look up and you can remind yourself it was real, and now you can smile, and now you can say, how did I live without him, and how do I honor him, maybe with getting another one, maybe, if that's right for you. If it's not, that's okay too. Permission to not have that happen. But just a beautiful story. I'll send that over to you after we get off
yeah, yeah. So I can share it with
broadcast.
everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just a gorgeous story. But those are the realities. And as I tell my hospice and palliative veterinary professionals and professional team, I say, you know what? We do live in a death avoidance society. And I tell you
yeah.
what, it's a heck of a lot easier for me to admit he's old than to admit he's dying, because we never like to admit the latter.
That's a good point. Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
But it is a reality. And like I said, I always stress with people, really think about what will the end look like? Man, I remember when my big Harry died, literally, Kathy, I was between here and Dallas, Texas, and going into Tampa for a class with one of my colleagues. I'm going to be sharing with you today, and I'm on my way. And I always kind of lovingly tell the story. It was probably over about Alabama that I got a text from my pet sitter, and she said Big Harry's has collapsed, and through a flurry of texts in midair, God love Wi-Fi in midair, right? Through a flurry of texts with my husband and the pet sitter Phyllis and my vet clinic, my husband said, Coleen, today will be the day. So you have to make a decision. Will you or will you not be there?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a blunt question. And Kathy, I closed my eyes and I said, I will be there. And so God love Southwest Airlines. They pulled out every stop they could pull out. They swung me back around from Tampa, got me back to Dallas, and I got back here just a few minutes before he died. But those are the decisions you have to make. You have to close your eyes and say, how will this feel 6 months from now? And in my head, I said, he can't do that without me there, and I'm going to do what I can do to get there. So that's how we have to think. And sometimes it's really tough to remove yourself from the emotional decision making, but you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do it.
Well, that's funny too, because here I've in my lifetime I've had 2 dogs that have lived over the age of 12. One lived to 18. And I had to make that decision. And Charlie, I'm hoping that he'll at least make it to 15. But it's funny now because I'm preparing in my mind.
Sure.
He's got these tumors. Do I really, really want to put him through having a biopsy done and all this other stuff, only to find out that he has cancer? Am I going to put him through treatment? Am I going to go through all that, have him go through a lot of pain and everything? Or would I rather let him go naturally with some hospice and palliative care, so that he's comfortable and he's still with me, rather than putting him through all of that? That's the road I would rather take.
Sure.
So why do you think hospice is so important? I believe in hospice for everything.
Right. I think for pet lovers, I think it's that opportunity, and I've heard this a gazillion times. I always hear from loving pet owners, I want to make sure I did everything. And when we know that there's an opportunity that we can do some palliative care and we can do some hospice and we can keep them comfortable, let's face it, Kathy, in human hospice, for the most part, the human being says, listen, maybe I don't want to die hooked up to machines. Maybe I don't want to die in a hospital. Maybe I don't want to die with nurses around me. I know it's completely different in our world right now. Okay. But at the end of the day, maybe those are the statements, and the dying person speaks the requests. Okay. With pet hospice, it's not like Charlie's going to tell you, hey, Mama, guess what? I just want to die with you with me, and let's not go to heroic measures. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Charlie doesn't say that. But Kathy says that, number one, about Charlie, not for Charlie, but about Charlie. And Kathy says that for Kathy. Okay. So now it's what can we do from moving from cure to care? What can we do for the next few days? So Kathy can say, I did everything, when everything may not be medicinal. Everything may not be trying to figure out how to cure something, but everything may be, how do I keep him comfortable until a day that we make the call? Okay. Because the other thing we want to talk about is the disease progression of what we have. Because the last thing any of us want is to have our pet suffer. We don't want that. We don't want that. And we have a beautiful gift. I know it doesn't feel like when we're in the middle of it, but we have a beautiful gift that we can give our pets and to help them out of their pain. Yeah. And so we do have that. But also too, as I tell veterinarians, if he's just old isn't a terminal diagnosis. Yeah. Help me keep him comfortable. Yeah. Help me do what I can do as a loving pet parent, so that our end can be beautiful and memorable. Yeah. And so I just want pet parents, with anything. I don't care what it is. With anything, I want them to have the education, because the last thing for me as a pet, as an end of life professional, the last thing I ever want a pet parent to come back to me and say is, I wish you would have told me about that, because I'd have done
Yeah,
that.
right.
Why
Yeah,
didn't you tell me I could have
yeah,
had a few more days at home keeping him comfortable?
right.
Why didn't you help me with that?
Yeah. The idea when you said about dogs getting older, there's nothing that frustrates me more than when I see a dog in a shelter that somebody has relinquished because they're old and they want to avoid the bills.
Mhm.
They don't like the fact that the dog can no longer do what it did before.
Right. Yeah.
And
Their puppy's
those,
gone.
yeah, and you think to yourself, then why did they even have this dog around? What kind of a life did this dog really lead? Was it happy? Was it loving? Or
Mhm.
was it just he was a dog and just
Yeah.
sat there and was ignored? Boy, I got something. Excuse me.
Kathy, I totally hear you on that. And I tell you what being in the funeral business, as you mentioned, and my pet funeral home, I really, as hard as it is, I really try to practice a lesson that our animals teach us, which is to just know that, and to believe that people are doing their best regardless of the situation. And as much as I want to judge, because I do on those, as much as I do, that stuff can take up space in my head. And so
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know what? I want to believe that they did the best they could, and something is there that they couldn't get through the next stage. And I've
Yeah,
got
but
to.
what is it? If it's hard for dog lovers to look at that and see that and get enraged by it, how is it for the person that's doing it? How can they go home and be comfortable with that? I don't
No,
get it.
no,
I've
no,
never been able to get it.
I don't either.
I don't get the abuse of an animal
Mm-mm.
or a dog that's chained up
Right.
with only maybe 6 feet, and
Yeah.
that's their whole world. That's the only thing they ever know.
Yeah.
Why? I don't get the purpose of it.
No, I don't either.
So
I don't
anyway,
either.
we're off subject here.
I know.
Let's go into the resources that you have available, which I know are plentiful, and I'm going
Yes.
to share the
Oh
screen
my
here. So
gosh. I just could not
this
wait to
is a
share. Why don't you go over to our first one, which is the IHPC.
oh, that's what I got.
And we've got Carrying Pathways up, which I do want to talk about them.
Okay, I thought that was
I think we moved it all the way over to the beginning.
that is at the beginning.
Okay, let me talk about them. So
Okay.
here's what I want for our folks that are out there and with us today, and my role here, Kathy, and you and I talked about this when we were talking about this show. I want people to know where the resources are at, and Caring Pathways, for instance, is a colleague of mine, and they are absolutely amazing. It is a group of veterinarians that their whole service model is to help people in the home and to help people with their end of life walk, to include hospice and palliative care, to include if euthanasia, and they want to do the euthanasia right in the home. There's so many things. Kathy, can you scroll down on this site, because I want to share these? Oh my gosh, these guys are, keep going down. I'm going to have you click on a link here. It's at the bottom where it says a message from our veterinarians. Actually, you can go right there. Yeah, go right there to that, where you're the middle blog area there with that picture of, yep, go right there.
Okay.
Okay, scroll down. Click off of that. Scroll down, because I want you to see the beautiful pictures that this particular group said, hey, listen, let me look at this.
Oh, wow.
Look at this. Let me help you with a way that you can still have a memorable goodbye, even in the face of social distancing. You're going to see down below, look at that, there's the toys and the blanket. We've got a final car ride if that's what they want. You keep scrolling down, and we've got look, mama's
Oh,
out there with all the
feel this.
beautiful
Yeah.
toys, and they created a playlist for Bonnie. Look at that. So it was her goodbye playlist. It was all the songs.
Oh,
Look at this, that if you can't be holding your precious love, maybe what you do is you connect them to you with a beautiful piece of material that says we're still connected, because
yeah.
we have to be socially distanced right now. But look at all these gorgeous, gorgeous ways that you can still have a beautiful and memorable goodbye. I had a group that I was working with up in Canada, and as they were headed out to assist a family with their kitty cat, one of the things that I learned from the group is that the kitty cat loved the husband's socks. And so we talked about it. And I said, you know what I would recommend if it was me? I'd recommend that you put that precious little love to sleep in the sock drawer, right where he loved to be. And that's exactly what they did. Isn't that just beautiful?
Yeah.
Caring Pathways, they have an amazing resource structure. They are beautiful. They're currently located out in the Denver-ish area. Is where they operate, but they have a grief support person. They've got beautiful resources. You saw all those beautiful pictures. So again, I want to share resources. That's what you need, and I want you to know where to go get them. So beautiful operation. I love my folks at Caring Pathways. Love. What was our next one that we had out there?
Next one is this one.
Okay, so here's the other one. Look at that. Find a pet euthanasia provider near you. Listen, beautiful site that you can type in and say, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. Is there anybody here that can assist me? So I wanted to make sure that we knew about this directory and that people could do that. So let's share that one with our listeners. And we're actually going to have I've got a couple other colleagues that do directories as well. So we're going to kind of just plow our way through some of these resources here. So we can share that one. And then take me to the next site that I shared with you.
Okay. There's this one.
Another one. This is another beautiful site that's got providers, and everybody kind of handles it in their own way on this. And so I just like to make sure that people have options. We love to have options, right? So this is another one that's got options that we can click on, and options that we can go find somebody who's near us. And just like anything, there's different sites and different ways to do it. So there's yet another one. Okay, give me another one. Okay, so this one is loaded with information, and here's what I like about this one. I'm going to share two sites with you on this. This one's also got some beautiful telemedicine, okay, or telehealth. Let me say that differently. It's got some beautiful telehealth options, and of course, our veterinarians, just like so many folks, look at that. There's a quality of life consultation. You've got a ton of things right there. Ton of things that you can take a peek at, but you've got people that can do things over the phone. There's the telehealth right down there in the bottom middle of that, telehealth consultation and virtual care. So this is a beautiful site that can bring that pet care professional right into your home with you and help you with some telehealth. Okay. The opportunity to ask some questions. Now we've got not everybody, and this is within our veterinary professional, just understanding it is telehealth and not telemedicine. Okay. So that's going to be based on the area that people are in and what they can do, and if they've seen the client before and some things like that, some parameters like that. So anyway, beautiful site, beautiful. There's my colleagues there that can help, Dr. Shea. So just some beautiful things that you can turn to, and another wonderful resource.
Right.
Love that. Okay, give me the next one. Another amazing group of mine. So Lab of Love is a nationwide group of end-of-life professionals. You can check your area to see if they've got somebody right in your neck of the woods. They have got so many resources. And one of the other things that I want to point out on this site is that they have what we call, there's my friend, Dr. Mary Gardner. She's one of the founders. Just love her to pieces. Her and Dr. Danny McVitie. Just amazing. There's Dr. Danny right there. But they have a beautiful quality of life scale and you see it right there on the bar that you can jump right there. Download a quality of life scale and really start to ask yourself some questions. What is the quality of life that's going on with my pet right now? And they've got a group of amazing folks that are 24/7 on the phone, can help answer some questions, can be there. They've got grief counselors, they've got companions. There's their network right there. Look, you can just highlight and see who's in your area and who you can call on. So Lap of Love, just an amazing operation with so many resources that are there just to help. I happen to notice that they also launched an initiative that is just kind of this, hey, if you need to talk, we're here to listen.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
I just love it. I just love it. So yeah, there you go. There's those. Did we have any others?
Yes, we do. Yeah. This one.
Oh, okay. Crescendo. This is the crescendo. I know we're going to share one of our other my colleagues on this too, but here you go. This one is the Mac Daddy, everything you need to know about animal hospice and palliative care. This is the International Association for Animal Hospice and Palliative Care. This is our website, and I say our because I'm actually the executive director of this association. And what I love about this association is it is everything end of life, everything end of life. So we've got folks on here that are part of an interdisciplinary team. Kathy, let's talk about that. We've got social workers. We've got folks that provide other things, other ways of support other than in support of our veterinarians and our vet techs. We've got certification programs for our professionals out there that say, hey, listen, I want to take my end of life skills in my end of life business to the next level. And I want to make sure that I'm everything that my pet parents need from me when it comes to that final time. Because at the end of the day, Kathy, that's what pet parents and that's what pets deserve.
That's right.
So we are huge on education. You're seeing our conferences coming up, and there's a wealth of information on this site.
I'm falling in love with this dog here. Look at that face.
Isn't that just
oh my God, you just gotta love it.
Don't you just want to kiss that little nose off?
Oh yeah. Should we go to the next one now?
Let's do the next one because it may be, let's see. Yeah, I thought it was me. She's got the same little doggy right there. So I wanted to share this one because of this is Dr. Tyler Carmack's business. And I wanted to share this because I want you to see the words. First of all, integrative medicine. Tyler does a lot of things that are maybe considered non-traditional with some acupuncture and some beautiful things like that. So Dr. Tyler Carmack is our president of the IHPC and she's out in the Hampton Roads area, out in the Virginia Beach area, runs a beautiful, beautiful business. And I love Tyler to pieces and her business and what she's created and the amazing level of care that she brings. Just as an example of what our family should be looking for. And listen, let me talk about this 1 second, okay? I want to talk about this.
Okay.
What if the veterinarian that you go to doesn't do these things, okay? Doesn't have the hospice and palliative care. And maybe that's not something that they're strong in. I mean, think about it. There are doctors, human doctors, who specialize in things. There's pediatricians, there's geriatric doctors, there's hospice doctors, there's people who specialize. So let's not broad brush our veterinarians and say that they should be all things to all people. That might not be their wheelhouse, is to do something outside of their brick and mortar businesses. And that's what they want to do, is their brick and mortar businesses. So no shame at all. Yeah. But pet parents, listen to me. Go find somebody who can fulfill that. And listen, you got me. If you can't find somebody, you message Kathy and you say, Kathy, the girl whose hair sticks up on the show you do every Friday. How do I talk to that girl?
No, you say Coleen Ellis, the co-host of the Crossing Rainbow Bridge show. Well, either or. I'll know who it is.
Yeah, you'll know. But listen, guys, use me. That's what I'm here for.
Good morning, Dale.
Hi, Dale. I'm glad you're here. But use me. I want to make sure that I'm a resource to you too. That's why I do these on Friday morning, because we need to spread the word.
Yes,
This
yeah,
is the
yeah.
one thing that every pet lover will go through. Every one of them.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, it's the same thing for a human too. They don't prepare when it comes to the end of life.
Mm-mm.
All of a sudden, the person they loved has passed away. There's no will, there's no planning, there's
Right.
nothing. And
Yeah.
and everything's in helter skelter.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times the reason why people are that way is because if they did plan, there's so much more ease. You can be
Yeah.
so much more at peace. It's because their own upset, they created their own chaos.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I taught a class a couple weeks ago in Denver, and I said, death is always the big elephant in the room, right? The big pink elephant. And I said, but let me tell you all something. Here's what I believe. We invited the big pink elephant into the room
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we chose not to talk about it.
yeah,
So we invited the elephant. So guess what? Here's how you can get the elephant to leave the room. Talk about it. I got to
yeah.
share something funny with you, Kathy. You're going to die laughing
Wait,
because I know
your mom's here.
there's my mama. I just saw her. Hi, mama. Hi, Mama. So you're going to love this because I know your sense of humor. So I have a colleague down in the New Mexico area, Gail Rubin. Love her to pieces, and she's a death doula. She is all about having these conversations. She conducts death care cafes. She is all about it. Okay, so here's what she says. You're going to love this. She said, talking about funerals won't make you dead, just like talking about sex won't make you pregnant.
Yeah,
Isn't that delicious? Isn't
yeah,
that
yeah.
delicious? I know.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's talk
That's
about
good.
it. Just because you talk about it, and the reason I want you to talk about it is because it removes the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
It removes all of the fear of the unknown and says, listen, I want to plan for it. And I got to tell you, the families that I've worked with who have gone down to the nth degree. I had two daddies that I worked with their little Yorkie, and it was all the way down to when the little Yorkie came into my care. They knew what toy they wanted under the left paw. They knew what toy was to go under his right paw. They knew which toys were to go around him in his little bed. Imagine that. I tell you that story because imagine for those daddies when they close their eyes and they think about their precious little Yorkie's final journey.
Hmm. Yeah.
Look what they see. They
Yeah.
see it just exactly as it should have been. The end
Yeah.
was perfect.
Yeah.
The end
Right.
was perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'll always be that lasting memory too.
Always.
And the preparation is for you.
Absolutely.
It's for our fans that are here. You know that one day, whenever it is, that precious dog is going to be gone,
Yep.
probably before you.
Oh, most
And
likely.
to avoid that, I agree with you, Colleen, totally. That if you know that there's options, there's places you can go to. I find comfort in
Mhm.
hospice care because I don't want to give up Charlie. He
Right.
doesn't do good with other people, so
Mhm.
I like that he's with me. He'll feel comfortable with me.
For
I'd
sure.
rather have him with me to the very, very end.
Yep. And
You,
Kathy, when you can close your eyes and say, I did everything. Whew.
yes,
Doesn't that feel
yeah,
good?
yeah, yeah,
It
it
feels
does.
so good. And when you can close your eyes and you can say, I remember this with Crisco. We both took the day off and we kept closing our eyes and saying, what do we believe we should be doing right now? He loved the sun. Great. Let's go sit with him in the sun.
Yeah,
He loved
right.
the park. Great. He
Yeah,
didn't know where he was at, but you know what? At the end of the day, he knew he was in the grass and he could walk along.
yeah,
And we did those things versus just sticking our head in the sand and saying, you know what? She's coming at 3 o'clock. Oh my God, she's
yeah,
coming at 3 o'clock. Get out and do something. Do something that you're going to create a
yeah,
final memory. Do
yeah.
that.
Well, when you have a dog that's a Velcro dog, where
Yes.
no matter where you go, they're there. You're in the bathroom, they're there, and they're looking at you like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Can I help? Can I?"
Yep. Yep.
When they're there, and then they can't see you, that panic sets in. And
Hmm.
I don't want to say panic because it's not really the right thing. The not separation either. Just the knowing that they want to bond, they want to be with you,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
just want to be there. So I can't see. Um, not having them with you until the very end.
Right.
Like we
Yeah.
talked about before, people that will give them up
Mm-hmm.
just at the time when they need you most. They've given
Mm-hmm.
you all these years of love and comfort and protection and everything, and now you're going to give them up
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
going to betray them. Shame on you. For if any of you have ever done it, shame on you. And it's okay if you want to fight with me on it because I'll be there in a battle.
And I'll tell you what I do. I pray for them. That's all I can do. I
Yeah,
just say
right.
prayers for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I can do.
I guess I have to say that I feel sorry for them, that they feel it's okay to do that. And I have to wonder what kind of a life did they really have that it allows them to feel it's okay to treat an animal like that
Mhm.
without having any feelings or any remorse whatsoever. So there isn't really compassion or empathy, which is really two things that you really need to have if you really are going to have an animal in your life as a family, as part of
Well,
a
and
family.
as you know, towards the end too, because you know this as well as I do, it's just like a little old person, either they're potting on the floor or they're, up all night roaming and because they,
Yeah.
what a gazillion things. And if I've got any of my veterinary friends here, I'm certainly not going to step into your wheelhouse because it's not my wheelhouse. But it's just that old person, that old doggy thing, that they're gonna do what they're gonna do, and it's just like people, and it's I think that that's the height of compassion,
Yeah.
that we can look at that and say that we were with them, we struggled with them, we were patient with them, as much as we could, because I know for me those are the things that I regret is when I'm impatient because it's just something they can't help,
Right,
so
right. Exactly,
it's that
exactly.
part.
And then when they do get a little better, you think, "Oh, they're gonna be better." And that's not really true.
Yeah.
It's just a moment. It's a wishful thinking. It's a hope.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I remember
yeah,
that
so
with Miko. She was in for lung surgery. She had lung cancer, and I kept thinking, oh, when they get done, I'll have my puppy back.
yeah,
She'll be a puppy again, and that's what you want to believe. That's
yeah,
what you want to believe.
yeah.
Yeah, I know, I know. I know we had another
Yes,
website,
yeah,
and I
we
want to make
do.
sure
We have
because
this one.
this. Okay, so if I've got any veterinary professionals, Kata, beautiful, beautiful training, and it is Kathy Cooney, Dr. Kathy Cooney, just a really beautiful way to get the education, to take this process and to make it as peaceful and beautiful as it should be. So I merely wanted to put that out because it's, if we've got veterinary or end of life professionals, beautiful training, beautiful.
Okay.
Then you've got another one, and I want to make sure that we share this. It
Yeah.
should, oh, yes. So I want to talk about Karen for a minute because let me tell you something. And there may be some people on here who say, "Oh my God, seriously, we're going to talk about animal communicators." Here's my personal philosophy and my professional philosophy. If I have a resource, I'm going to give it to you. Okay? Your job is to take the resources that make the most sense for you,
Right. Right.
right? So maybe Reiki doesn't make sense to you. Maybe acupuncture doesn't make sense to you. Maybe Chinese, different forms of treatment from Eastern and Western, maybe both of those don't work for you. All right.
Right.
Maybe animal communicators don't work for you. And totally fine. But again, my job is to give resources. And I hear so much about animal communicators. I hear so much about the is it hocus pocus, what, the conversations on that. And here's what I say, Kathy. Just because Karen Blickert has a skill, has a talent that I don't have, doesn't make Karen wrong. Doesn't. So open your mind, and here's a resource, and maybe it'll work for you, maybe it won't work for you. That's okay. But just like me judging on what you choose to do, I also don't like to judge on the resources that we have, because different people need different things. And so
Yes.
that's what I love about about different strokes for different folks, and all that kind of stuff. We've got Reiki, we've got acupuncture. That Tyler, our IHPC president, amazing at. Tyler's amazing at acupuncture. All these resources that it shouldn't be. I would always hate for somebody to say, "Man, I didn't know about that. I
Yeah,
wish you'd have told
right,
me about
right.
that."
Well, that's what the whole show is really about, because you're opening up your
Yes.
entire uh, career to the audience and letting them know where they can go when this happens, that happens, and what to do. And like I
Yes.
told you, thanks, you're right, Dale. Dogs are more loyal than family. That's for sure. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
always say? I got to tell you something funny. I speak at human death care conferences all the time. And I always say, because I came out of the human side, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes funeral directors say to me, they say, "Will you ever come back to the human side?" And I always tell them,
Hell no.
"Absolutely not." Right? No. And I said, "Let me tell you something. There are two words that never describe a relationship with an animal: complicated and estranged. Never.
Yes. Yeah.
But we hear the human side all the time. It was a
Yes. Right.
complicated relationship. We were
Yeah.
estranged.
Yeah.
I said, now my side,
Irreconcilable differences.
oh my, exactly. No,
Yeah.
you know what I always say too? I say, listen, animals have one role. They have one role. They're here to love us. Okay. And so as a person, no expectations. No, I don't, much like people where he flunked out of high school. He didn't pass puppy training. He didn't go on to be the success I thought he could be. And I always say, and you know what, in my world, if he gets the girl next door pregnant, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Right. But
Okay.
they,
So, yeah. I wanted to share with you a picture that we posted on the Dog Connection. And God, we got, I think, about 30,000 responses from it. It's a picture of a woman who is in hospice and her dog is with her. And it was the thing that she wanted more than anything. And just look at this.
oh, love it. Love it, love it.
Yeah.
I saw a
So the
story.
dogs are there for all of us as well when it comes to hospice and
Yep,
palliative care. They
exactly.
offer comfort like no other can ever offer to us.
Right. Look at that unconditional love right
Yeah.
there from both ways. And you see how much peace. I love it in all the studies that talks about the oxytocin that releases when we pet an animal, the same thing that happens when a mother holds a child or you hold a
Yeah.
child. And you can just see that just flowing right there. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
It's beautiful.
Mm,
So the other thing I wanted to share was one of our petagraphs, which is, don't you just wish that Rainbow
mm,
Bridge had visiting hours so that you
mm.
could see and hug your dog one more time?
Yep,
And then we
I know.
also, listen, Rainbow Bridge Heaven, it's open 24/7 to any of you that ever want to just look up and see your pet, know that they're
There.
right by your side and they're in your heart.
Yeah, yeah, you have to hold on to that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh, love it.
closing thoughts, girlfriend.
Closing thoughts are, I just want people to know that they have options. You're not going to get out of it. We don't get out of it. I don't like it, just like anybody else does. And but I want you to think about the 6 month goal. I want you to look back and say, what can I do now? Or if you're in the end of life walk, what can I do to make it where I can literally close my eyes and say the end was perfect. I want you to do whatever you need to do. I want you to turn to your veterinary professional and have that request of them. And if they can't help you, then go find somebody that can help you and can
Yeah.
make it be perfect. You
Yeah.
deserve that, and your pet deserves that. Period. End of
And your
story.
plan has to be personalized, customized just for you. There is no
Yeah.
cookie cutter. There's
Mm-mm.
no
Mm-mm.
one way that is the right way. So
Mm-mm.
somebody can't say, "Well, do this and do that." You know yourself what your
Yeah.
dog loves,
Yep.
what they like to do, what you like to do with them,
Right.
and
Right.
how you can do it again together. If they can't
Yes.
walk, fine, you pick them up. You put
Yes.
them in a wagon. You find a way to bring them to where they want to go. I can
Exactly.
remember when my mother was in hospice. She was in home hospice, And I had a friend that absolutely adored my mother. And the only way that she could see her car, she loved her car. She called it Betsy. She used to look out the window because she was on the second story. She would look out the window and she could not get in the car anymore. She couldn't drive it. So my friend used to come over and carry her down the stairs and in the car so
Oh,
that she and then drive her around so that she could drive it. There's always a way,
there's always a
is what
way.
I'm saying. There always a way. Nothing is impossible, especially when it
Exactly.
comes to your dog. Your dog will go through leaps and bounds to take care of you under all circumstances. They
Hmm.
would give their life for you.
Hmm.
So the least you can do at the end of their life is to be there, be
Right.
present, show
Exactly.
up, be
Yep.
the person that shows up for them,
Exactly.
not
Yep. I always
abandons them, not abandons them.
I always say there's cans in those can'ts. So find the cans. You got
Yeah,
to find the cans.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, Kathy, I've had a beautiful time with you this
Yes.
morning.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much. I love it, love it, love it.
Me
Thank
too.
you,
And everybody
everyone.
out there, here's a resource. So use me. Use me, use me. Thanks,
Okay,
Kathy.
thanks. Oh, what are we
Okay.
going to talk about next week? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, you know what I want to talk about next week? I want to talk about some things people are doing to memorialize. So
Oh,
let's,
okay.
not rituals, but I want to talk about the really cool things, memorialization products, just for fun,
Okay.
because it's really been exciting. Let's
Okay.
do it.
That sounds good. All
Okay,
right.
let's
Okay.
do it.
Bye.
Bye.